Each one of the 32 NFL franchises has went through their ups and downs throughout their histories. Take the Browns, for instance. In 2017, the Browns went winless, and just a few years later, they made the playoffs. Nothing is permanent in the NFL, even though sometimes it can seem so. I guess that means Jets and Jaguars fans get their hopes up, and maybe some of these players can too. Today, we're going to talk about 4 different NFL players who haven't necessarily been on bad teams, but if they were in a different place, they could be having a much better experience. These 4 players could be playing at a higher level if the players on the team around them weren't as bad as their current teams. Allen Robinson. Many people already consider this guy to be a superstar, even me. He has had back-to-back seasons with over 1,000 receiving yards, with a quarterback carousel of some of the league's least valuable quarterbacks. He has been a volume pass catcher over the last 2 years, averaging 100 receptions per season. He's been playing under Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles, and now Andy Dalton this season. When comparing Andy Dalton's and Mitch Trubisky's stat lines, they are actually very similar players. Bringing in Andy Dalton, who is at best a mid-tier quarterback, will not be enough to elevate Robinson's game and help bring the Bears a championship. The Bears' offensive line is nothing special either. Cody Whitehair did catch some steam towards the end of the season, and the return of injured James Daniels may help, but Jeremy Afedi, Alex Bars, and the other linemen could use some bolstering. Come on now. On defense, the Bears are heading in the wrong direction. Their stud player, not theirs anymore, Kyle Fuller, is not returning. They let him walk, and instead they're going to need second-year player Jalen Johnson to step up in a big way. Khalil Mack, David Montgomery, and Allen Robinson are all strong players, but without the presence of a commanding leader at quarterback, a quarterback who's able to help the team win games instead of just managing the game and playing not to lose, the Chicago Bears will not be contenders in the Aaron Rodgers-led NFC North. Julio Jones. Over and over again, the Atlanta Falcons appear as if they're poised to have a bounce-back year and earn some redemption for the 2016 Super Bowl. It appears as if the Patriots killed this franchise, and the Atlanta Falcons have never been the same. They've had over 7 wins just one time since that Super Bowl lost 5 seasons ago. From 2014 to 2019, Julio Jones had a streak of seasons over 1,000 yards receiving. In 2015, he recorded 136 receptions and almost 2,000 receiving yards. He's been averaging around 1,500 yards per season the last couple of years, excluding this last season where he was plagued by injury. I think it was his hamstring. If Julio Jones can stay healthy, he has proven that he can be insane. And that is with Matt Ryan as his quarterback, who statistically has seen better days. He consistently has thrown for above 4,000 passing yards, but his touchdown to interception ratio hasn't been great the past 2 years. And of course, their overall record, that wasn't great either. The Falcons do have Todd Gurley and Calvin Ridley, both dynamic players who can, they can help this team out, but something just isn't clicking. Julio Jones could shatter records if he was playing with a quarterback like Kyler Murray. Come on. The Atlanta Falcons were considering moving on from both Matt Ryan and Julio Jones in the offseason, but nothing ever happened. It's rumored that they could pursue a quarterback in the draft or the offseason, but does Julio have enough left in the tank to really stick around while a younger kid fine-tunes his talent at the expense of his limited time he has left in the league? I don't think so. Get Julio out. Casey Hayward Jr. This dude is heavily underrated. Some of you might not even know who he is. He's a defensive back for the Los Angeles Chargers who has had amazing seasons over and over again since entering the league back in 2012, except 2013 where he was injured. Now, Hayward has received a grade of over 75 every single season except for this past one, where he got a grade of 60. So what caused this down year? He played inconsistently and allowed less than 25 yards in 7 of his 14 games played. That's good. Less than 25 yards in half of his games, okay. But he also gave up 9 receptions that resulted in 25 or more yards in just that one reception. Not great. That was like the 4th most in the league. Or 4th worst, of course. One of the possibilities for this is he was all alone. I had high expectations for the Chargers defense entering the 2020 season, but surprisingly, the other side of the ball was way better than the defense. Derwin James was ruled out injured before week 1. Desmond King was traded away a few weeks in, and Chris Harris Jr. did not get the full season in. Hayward was one of the team's only defensive assets left, along with Bosa. The Chargers do have an offense that I think could do some damage, but they still went only 7-9 in a division that has the dominant Chiefs and the Raiders, who potentially show some strength in the coming years. Hayward is a 9-year vet who can make his presence strongly felt in an already established defense, but he does have that chance in Los Angeles in 2021. Shaun Watson. Oh, this one might be the worst one of all. If this video was made a couple years earlier, a couple weeks, whatever, DeAndre Hopkins and JJ Watt could easily both be on this list, but they both found their way out. Watson not so lucky. He's being held hostage. The Texans saw his almost 5,000 passing yard season in 2020, and they know he's a generational talent. The problem here is that Shaun Watson doesn't want to play for them. Watson, along with all typical NFL fans, are skeptical of the Texans front office intellect, and some of the moves that they have made have been less than good. They got rid of D-Hop, J.J. Watt, come on now, 2 players that could have helped Watson immensely, and instead they got David Johnson, who hasn't been himself since his good 1 or 2 seasons with the Cardinals, and Brandon Cooks. The Texans' offensive line is really bad. Now, Laramie Tunsil has had another strong season. He's a good pass blocker, but overall, their offensive line is really bad and was ranked 30th in run blocking. Also, Laramie Tunsil was good, but I definitely hope that the Texans think he's worth the 3rd overall pick in the draft that they sent over to Miami for that trade for him. Sheesh. The Shaun Watson definitely could have a special career, but the next couple of seasons in Houston don't seem like they have the brightest future. The Houston Texans have to do everything they can to keep Deshaun Watson happy, or they risk losing an MVP level talent. I was thinking of putting Russell Wilson on this list, but he has some dynamic receivers, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Chris Carson. He's a good running back. He just has a terrible offensive line. I could see him on this list because the Seahawks haven't been that great in the playoffs, but I mean, at least Russell Wilson has the chance to make the playoffs every year, and some of these players don't. So these are the 4 players that deserve to be on a better team if their GMs can't find a way to fix the team that they're on right now. They got to be active in free agency. They got to do some stuff in the draft. They have to appease to these players, wants and needs, and they have to make them want to keep playing in the city that they're in. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you guys think down below. Who do you think deserves to be on a better team in the NFL right now? Thanks for watching. Smash the subscribe button, and have a great day.